34/M. My brother, 44/M, has given up on his life due to his marriage. He is trying to arrange life insurance so that his obligations are met, and I think he is considering suicide. How can I reach him? He believes that because he committed to marriage, that he owes it to his wife to see that commitment through. By commitment he means financial support. By his own admission, he knows she doesn't love him, but sees him as financial support. He doesn't love her either anymore but feels that he owes her that support. He fantasizes about winning the lottery, so he could just buy her a house, give her some cash and walk out guilt-free. They have a son that has almost finished university, so no young children to consider. The relationship is extremely toxic. He earns the vast majority of the household income in a stressful job. She also works full-time in a low-paying job, but she has pushed buying an overly expensive house on him and tightly controls all of their money. He also does the majority of the housework. When I have encouraged him to reframe their roles to give him more freedom, he says that he doesn't mind the way things are, because it keeps her happy, which is better than her being miserable/moody with him at home. Now that the house papers are signed, he knows he can never leave his stressful job because he needs the better money to eventually pay for the house. His drinking/smoking/diet are killing him, so he's trying to secure life insurance that will cover his share of the mortgage. But when he spoke to me, it sounded like he's considering suicide. That doesn't look like suicide, and the life insurance will give him the peace of mind that his obligations are filled. I felt that my advice didn't help, that she was the main cause of his depressive outlook and that he needs to leave her. It didn't get through to him at all. Does anybody have any advice on how I can either convince him to move on, or at least reframe his life to give him some hope again? Thanks in advance. X-edit. Thanks to everyone for the advice. I hope to talk to him this week and will encourage him to start by seeing a therapist and go from there. Take care. He believes that because he committed to marriage, that he owes it to his wife to see that commitment through. It seems your brother is religious, but he needs a divorce just to formalize the absence of love in their marriage. I completely agree. I just wish he would understand how necessary it is before he gets worse. Therapy, make him go, and also talk with him, tell him to date, just have fun. Keep an eye on him. Good advice. I'll definitely suggest therapy next time we talk. A visit with a family law attorney would clarify how assets in a divorce would be split, and what the expectations would be for spousal support. The clear knowledge of how his finances would be affected might help him. Plus, yes, a visit to his doctor to be screened for depression. Jesus, poor guy. I was exactly like your brother. My marriage was miserable and, because of my upbringing, I believed that's just how it is. After a bad bout of depression, my doctor convinced me to try meds, which leveled me out and allowed me to see a future. Not going to lie, divorce was awful. My kids hated me for a time, and lost everything I worked for 20 years for. Fast forward a few years, though, and I met my soulmate, a new home, a good relationship with my kids, and for the first time in my entire adult life, I am happy. I love my life. Splitting up socks, especially when there was no huge adultery scandal or event, but life is short. You should never stop trying to find happiness. Life insurance does not cover suicide here in the UK. Can't speak for all policies in the US, but mine, and most, I believe, also do not cover suicide. My, 40, wife, 36, has admitted to having an affair with her now deceased friend at the end of his life, 36. A few years ago, my wife got back in touch with an old high school friend of hers who she'd lost touch with a few years beforehand. I knew at the outset that this guy was seriously besotted with her in their youth for many years. It was an unrequited love and nothing romantic ever happened between them, but they were close friends. I met him once they got in touch and he seemed like a nice guy, but I did notice a chemistry between them when they were around each other, joking, laughing at each other, etc. I put it down to years of friendship. There was never any other concerning behavior or red flags. He was also married. My wife never hung out with him one-on-one in this time. A year back, he was diagnosed with cancer. At the outset the prognosis was poor. My wife was understandably devastated when she found out. She would check in via message/phone to see how he was, and we saw him during this time in group settings. We are in NZ, so COVID wasn't an issue, and saw he was declining rapidly. Towards the end, my wife decided she wanted to spend some time one-on-one with him before he passed. She took him out to some of their favorite childhood haunts and spent time together bonding and talking. Thought nothing of it. He passed a couple of weeks ago. My wife was absolutely destroyed. She has been crying for days. She stopped eating, couldn't get out of bed. And then she admitted, the time they spent together at the end of his life was not purely platonic. Apparently one afternoon when they were out together, he admitted he had never loved anyone like he loved her, that she was still the love of his life. She denies that he guilted her. She denies he used manipulation, but she says they both broke down into sobs and basically fell into each other's arms. From then on, they became romantically involved, knowing he had very little time left. She denies that there was sex, especially as he was quite weak towards the end, but she admits they decided to enjoy what time he had left together without the complications of admitting their affair to either me or his wife. She said she understands if I want a divorce, but she needs me to understand it was a surreal situation. She was losing someone deeply important to her who she had trauma bonded with, who she loved. That she knows that isn't an excuse. I am trying to put myself in their shoes. I know how much he loved her. He was deeply in love with her. Knowing he was dying, she obviously let her emotions get the better of her too. I feel like I'm equal parts angry, devastated for me, for her and for him. I am so fucking angry but also so fucking sad. Is this forgivable? Am I insane for even considering it? My head is such a mess right now. TLDR, wife had an affair at the end her childhood friend's life who died of cancer. What the fuck? He was deeply in love with her. Knowing he was dying, she obviously let her emotions get the better of her too. So this asshole let his own wife care for him during his worst, while he was pining after your wife? This is fucked up on so many levels. I would never forgive someone like your wife for facilitating this level of affair. I feel so bad for this dead dude's wife more than anyone. The amount of disrespect to you and the other wife is completely irreparable. I am trying to put myself in their shoes. You should tell her to put herself in your shoes. If it was an affair with a stranger or this dude, doesn't change the fact that your wife accepted that this could destroy your marriage and still did it. She decided that having an affair was more important to her than her marriage with you. You should separate from her for some time to process what she did and to make a decision about your future. Also, don't believe her that there was no sex. She is only telling you the light version of everything, hoping that you stick with her. You and her should get tested for STDs right away. Please stay away from alcohol and drugs in the next weeks. They won't help you. Find someone you can talk to and confide your feelings in. Come to terms with the fact that your wife was deeply in love with another man and learn what she is capable of. If you just decide to stay with her, then this will happen again. So take your time. You are worth so much more than to be treated this way. I take my hat off to you. You have done everything in the name of decency, until decency itself has run out of things for you to do. But this is still a profound, repeated betrayal, no matter the circumstances. Your partner has not respected you, even though you gave her every possible support and flexibility. My friend, you may need to look at what life you want. You are 40, you're still young. This is not what you deserve. Jump out and head to the unknown. You have nothing to lose, and everything to gain. Say, let's see where this goes. It's a long way down, but don't look. Jump, please. Crap. That's heavy. First of all, the friend sounds like an ass. Here are his shoes for you. You have a wife, maybe kids, I don't know, and then you are diagnosed with cancer. So you leave your wife to spend your last days on this earth with your best friend who you actually have this supposed deep love for. Sounds like a thing a good guy would do. He definitely manipulated your wife. Your wife can deny it all she wants, but that guy was almost surely pushing for sex. One way or the other. Now here is a tricky part. Did she agree and now lies to you, or did she say no? This is so painful, I'm so sorry. For me personally, I wouldn't want to get past it. That man dying doesn't change the fact that she made vows to you, Vows she broke knowingly and repeatedly based on her own wants. But again, that's me. My advice to you is not work through this nor leave her, as I don't know what the right answer is. My advice is don't make that decision just yet. You're still in shock, and I think the best thing to do is to give yourself space and time to find your sea legs before you make any big decisions. I think you should live separately for the time being. Definitely get into individual counseling and maybe try couples counseling if you want to and think it will be helpful. Reach out to friends and family for support. Maybe in a few months you'll be in a better place to make your decision. My 19M, little sister's friend, 15F, has a crush on me. She's a child, I'm not interested in her. She tells me things about her sex life that I honestly don't want to know just to impress me. She's a child, she shouldn't have a sex life for starters. She constantly tries to be alone with me or acts flirty. She tries to kiss me, I didn't let her. She asked me out once, I rejected her but she won't stop. One time she even pulled a condom out her pocket on me. How do I handle this? I want to tell her mother but I'm not an arc. How do I let her down easily? Do I tell my little sister not to hang with her anymore? I agree with others who've said to tell her mom. Also, you don't have to let her down easy. Sometimes saying something dead honest like you're a child. Stop, I will never see you this way, will be an ego bruise big enough to get her to go away. Unless you've already tried this, in which case your last resort is tell her mom. ID advice: tell her mom and not be alone with that girl in one room. Cause after he talked to her about being a child she may easy tell her mom he raped her. Teenage girls are stupid something and this may ruin his life. I would tell the friend's mother, but I would let your sister know what's going on first so she isn't blindsided. This behavior isn't cute and your sister's friend needs to understand that this is considered sexual harassment. Try not to be alone with her. People who can't take no for an answer sometimes do crazy things, like making accusations. Tread carefully. You've already let her down easy in these multiple situations. You're being sexually harassed at this point. I'm sorry you're in this awkward situation. I suggest telling her mom since she apparently can't take no for an answer. Tell her mother. This is completely inappropriate behavior on her part. Have you explained to her that a relationship between you two would be legal? If not, you probably should. But still remind her you are not interested. It sounds like she will think you are saying no because it is illegal. I hope you figure this out.